Hi guys, good afternoon, Chamion here. Well, it is afternoon in Trinidad and Tobago. It's a little after 1 in the, as I said, afternoon. Today I'm going to do my version of Accra, saltfish Accra for you all. I will be using pullock, boneless pullock. It is always the fish, the salted fish that I use when I'm doing Accra. So I already boiled it. You want to scald or boil your pullock. Some persons will soak it in water before. I'll give you a tip. When you are working with any salted meat, try as best as you can to wash off all the salt residue that's visible on the meat or the fish. Right? So I already have the pullock here. It's just for me to shred it apart. I am a lover. If I have to choose salted fish, it will always be pullock, and you don't have the bone in it and so forth, right? So this is what it looks like. I still have to get it smaller somewhat. I scalded it for quite a while, about 20 minutes, and of course I changed water twice on it. I know it's just sitting in some water again, fresh water, not the water that it was scalded or boiled in, right? So I'm just going to get it into smaller pieces and and so forth and so forth. I already have a setup on the things that will be needed for the demo, right? So you are seeing my my mini processor. You are seeing it there. It's already it already contains the seasonings that I will be using, right? In it I have some parsley, pimento, and white onions. Yes, white onions, not regular onion. They are white, okay? I have some brown sugar. I have a packet of yeast. The brand isn't important. Use whichever brand you like. I have some Maggi season up, fish flavored one. For my fellow Trinidadians, if you don't know what Old Bay looks like, this is what Old Bay look like. Old Bay seasoning is a US seasoning, right? I have some granulated garlic and onion. Granulated just mean powder, right? I think I said I have the sugar, of course. So I have a full setup and I'm going to start this moment. Time and time again I had persons ask me like which brand of what soap and so forth I use in my kitchen, because you'll always hear me speak about sanitization. It's first and foremost with me, because handling of food safety should always be at the top of our list, right? So what's happening is I have the brand of soap that I happen to use only in my kitchen because it isn't a strong brand, and so forth and so forth. So I'm just going to show you guys it. I'm going to slide it across to show you guys what it is. Right, so I'm just going to slide and show you guys the brand that I use. You can comment below or send me a private message, whether email or what, and I will tell you the brand. I'm not promoting anyone. I buy my stuff, like everyone else. I don't do sponsored content just yet on my channel, right? By that I mean nobody sponsors my demos, okay? So I'm going to show you guys the brand I use. It's right in front of us there, right? So when you hear me speak and refer to stuff, and I speak about it time and time again, this is the brand of hand soap that I use in my kitchen all the time. If you don't use this, if you don't want to use this brand and you already have your brand that you like or love, just simply make sure it isn't an overpowering fragrance, because nobody wants food that tastes somewhat perfumed, okay? You want to be mindful of things like that. In times gone by, I've had food from persons like, and you taste the scent or whatever they wash their hand with, especially if it's flour, it's there, and you don't want that. It's a bad turn off. Also, you want to sanitize your kitchen with only disposable kitchen safe wipes, right? So you want to make sure you're running your kitchen properly. You're not just looking fancy, but you're running your kitchen properly. I said I'm going to do a shutdown one day for you guys to see. So this is the wipes that I sanitize my kitchen with. I use a new one, a new wipes every time, right? So I'm just going to get straight into my demo. Now, I had to take the time to do that because sometimes I don't get the chance, as I would like to do different things apart from the food, because you all know the food is my first love. So I'm going to just do my seasoning freshly. You all know I do it for every meal I cook in, and the blend is always different depending on which meal I'm preparing at the moment, right? I'm I'm just gonna go a little more. It's still a bit too coarse, but you don't want it too fine. And no water, please. Right? I'm gonna leave it right there. There is perfect, right? So let me just sift my flour and get straight into things. If you want, you can put baking powder in your batter. I won't be using any because the yeast is just enough. Time and time again, I spoke about this is a sifter. A lot of you know it. If it's the first time of mine you're coming across, it's a sifter. It just makes life easier, and I always sift my flour. It makes it light and airy and gets all the clump and so forth, right? Yes, time and time again you heard me speak on always using when you are using yeast. I give 2 tips all the time for yeast, which is you always use warm water. You cannot activate yeast with room temperature water, and you always use sugar when you are using yeast because it needs something to feed on, right? So I'm just going to do that as we speak. I'm going to get my yeast. Remember, I'm using 1 tablespoon of yeast. 1 packet of yeast is equivalent to 1 tablespoon of yeast, measuring set spoons, or 2 teaspoons and some. This is what the measuring spoons look like in the culinary world. You don't want to use regular eating utensils, right? So 1 packet of yeast, this will fit in this, right? I just like to cover all my bases with you all. It's for good reason and purpose. So I'm just going to add the yeast directly into the flour. You don't need to set the yeast. You don't need to set the yeast. Okay, go straight in there, okay? And why you want to put yeast in there, for some of you it might be a bit foreign. The Accra is in the same texture if you don't use the yeast. It's too dense, it's too stiff, it's too firm, and that's not what I think Accra should be, okay? Right, so I have the yeast in there. Just let me combine it using my spatula. I'm going to put a bit of sugar in there also. I'm going to put in my fish, and then I'm going to, that's about a teaspoon of sugar roughly, just to activate the yeast. It needs something to feed on. Yeast love sweeteners. So I'm just going to just mix in, incorporate them together. Of course, I'm going to put in my granulated garlic and onion at this point. It simply means that it is powdered onion and powdered garlic, right? That was probably about a teaspoon of each. It's just going to make the flavors a lot more intense. That's all it's going to do. Right, and now I'm going to put in my, I won't be using Old Bay, not today, right? And then a lot of my fellow Trinidadians, they may not be able to access the Old Bay. So I'm keeping it at a level where, and don't put too much of salted seasoning either. Remember, the saltfish contains salt, okay? So I'm just going to use this much of the fish season up. It's just beautiful color. That's all I'm going to be using in it. You don't want it too sweet, too salt, sorry. You want nice balance. You don't ever want to eat too much of salted foods and so forth. I hope you all are here. Maybe we are live streaming and it's pouring in Trinidad. It's raining as we speak. So I may just have to talk a little above the rain so that you all can hear me, but I hope you guys are hearing me properly. Right? So I'm just going to get the fish in there. I'm not going to mash it up too much because in the US, I'm not going to pull it apart too much. In the US, they do something named crab cakes, and they always like to have lumps in there. So for texture, I'm not going to mash up my pull-up too small, my salted pull-up too small. I'm just going to, leave some nice bite-sized chunks in it, right? But I'm not going to use this water, of course, so I'm going to strain it out and then get it in here, right? So in goes all our pull-up. I'm going to add my seasoning at this point, my freshly grind seasonings. And then I'm going to mix and, let it take a bit of a rest, just a bit of relax. When you use this, you want to relax, whatever it is you put the yeast in, you need it to just relax for just a couple of minutes. It isn't bread, so you don't need any long relaxing time. Now I'm going to mix them together. right? And I'm about to add my tempered water. By tempered water, I simply mean it's water that I brought out to a special temperature to use. And like I said, when you are dealing with yeast, you don't ever want to use tap water because you need your yeast to activate fully, right? I'm just breaking apart the big ones, the chunks here. But you want the chunks, it's going to make for nice presentation. So you want to work in everything like this, then you add your water at the final stage. So now I'm about to put in my tempered water, right? Usually when we do the Accra, it's dropped with a spoon versus like rolling my dumplings or so. That's the desired texture you are looking for. People also make shrimp Accra and so forth, right? So don't think you can only make fish Accra. And then with the shrimp, it's healthier in that it's not salted meat or so you are dealing with. So you want to see it all combined, but of course you will have to pre-cook your shrimp first. Somewhat steam it or boil it. Steaming is good because you can just, you know, and then you season it after. It needs a bit more water. It's still too dry, right? Nothing much. So here is the perfect texture of what you want your Accra to be. You see, you are seeing all the nice colors coming through and so forth. Here is where you need it to be, right? And you're going to leave it to sit for about 10 minutes, right? I'm just going to get some plastic wrap on there, food safe wrap, right? I'm going to zoom in for you guys to see the texture. And of course, I will come back live streaming on the channel here for you all to see me frying it and the texture and so the texture of it and so forth. So you all could I'm going to do a zoom in on the bowl for you all to see what your Accra dough should look like. That's what you should have when you are doing Accra, right? It needs to relax so that it can become soft and so forth. So I'm just going to leave it to relax, and then I'm going to come back live streaming to show you all me frying it, you know, presented final product. I want to say sometimes persons serve it with a dip. I will not be serving it with a dip. You can make a mango chutney, probably a pineapple chutney if you want to get really creative. You can make chow masala with a mango, tamarind and so forth, right? Some persons also have Accra with bread, believe it or not. It is what it is. You know, we are all different, right? So we can bring down anyone that does things different to us. In other nations of the earth, they may not even know of saltfish Accra whatsoever, or they may not have it with anything, right? So it depends on who the person is. Like I said, and I call the dips that can be used for it, right? So I'm just going to leave it to rest for a bit. It don't need to be refrigerated. Just leave it somewhere that it can grow. And I'm going to come back live streaming for you guys to see what we have. Okay, so just you should be notified about me coming back to do the second live stream. All right guys, thanks for joining me.